Okay. So we're going to look at Pablo first or Stitch first, or do you have questions first, or just give me an update first, whatever you want to do.
I don't mind which one you start with. Both horses are ticking along snail's pace, but that's okay. Yeah, no, I don't. I'll probably have some questions as we get into it a little bit. With Pablo, my gut feeling is, could be wrong, but that there's a lameness issue in his back right that seems to be not improving with the work that we're doing.
Hmm.
Uh, he's well, sorry, he's as we know, his movement is definitely improving and his back legs have definitely increased with their mobility. But I still get a bit of a sense, and I could be wrong, and I'd like your opinion as well. It's hard to know, isn't it, either way?
Mm.
But it's he, even after all this time working, I can still see his right leg is still quite um short in its stride and it just looks lame. But I
Hmm.
don't know.
Stiff,
You know,
like stiff lame, or i- is he
um, just shorter stride on it.
okay?
I mean, I don't have a very good.
Because
I find it hard to pick up payments,
the good news is you had the vet look at it, and the vet saw the old fracture in the hoof on the right hind.
but that was, I think. Oh yeah, I did, didn't I? That was last year.
Hmm.
Yes, you're right. So it all just blends in, doesn't it?
So,
Yeah,
I
he did.
mean,
So he,
at least
yep.
getting a lameness exam, when you got the lameness exam, the extent of the pathology
Hmm.
was that fracture in the coffin bone on the right hind, and if I
Hmm.
remember correctly, a little bit of ring bone on both front, a little bit of arthritis between P1, P2, P3 on the both front legs.
Yeah, I think so. I should probably go back actually, and because at the time I didn't really read the reports, I just kind of was listening to the vet, and it kind of goes in one ear and out the other with me when it's
I
anything.
I think if I remember correctly, and I think the other thing he might have had was some relatively significant hock arthritis on the right hind. But I think it was hock arthritis on the right hind because you guys had discussed, I think, injecting that hock. But I said, let's wait and see. But I think there was hock arthritis and then the original
Yeah,
fracture, which had healed, but the coffin bone had been fractured on the right hind
yeah. And he had a high suspensory ligament injury when he was first diagnosed with lameness when he was 5.
on the
I
same
mean, he's now
leg.
on the same leg.
Okay.
Yeah. He's now 12, so I don't know whether ligament injuries kind of fix themselves or I've got no idea, but that's a long
No,
time ago,
but
isn't it?
what you might be seeing, the reason I want to go over that, because again, if you have issues like old injuries, high suspensory, old injury, fracture in the coffin bone, it's the lack of use probably is what created the hock arthritis, right? The
Mm,
restricted use of the leg while it was healing, or because after after the body heals, even if, the suspensory is well healed, that's going to create some scar tissue, and the fracture in the coffin bone is going to create some callus.
yeah.
So it it actually, in a way, strengthens the ligament once it
Mm,
heals with the scar tissue. The
mhm.
hock arthritis might be what you're seeing, but arthritis, if he's on, I forget what the
He's
generic,
on
uh,
Prevaquin and Pentazan.
yeah. So that's
Yeah,
for pain management or discomfort while you're working through things
yeah.
like arthritis or restoring function to a leg that's been restricted. And
Hmm.
so I don't know that if he's not showing head bobbing signs of pain
No.
and if he's slowly gaining more desire to move forward,
Hmm.
then I would say if you need to put your mind at ease, you can do another lameness exam. But I don't think, usually, if there's a pain issue,
Hmm.
he would be less and less willing to move forward. That's kind of where he
Yeah.
started.
Yeah, we'd be going backwards, not forwards. And we are going forwards, but it's just at
So then
micromillimeter.
the other two things to consider are imagine that either the suspensory injury or the fractured coffin bone or the hock
Hmm.
arthritis, all of those, if they create discomfort to the body, you can imagine the nervous system puts on like an invisible cast, right?
Hmm.
So it restricts the use or the mobility of the leg while it's healing to protect it and let it heal. When it's fully healed, that cast doesn't come off unless you retrain the nervous system. So the
Yeah.
nervous system sets up a detour around an injury. And even when the injury's healed, if you're, and that's what physical therapy is for people. If we have
Yeah.
surgery or
Yeah.
my mom broke her leg. She had to relearn how to work with that injury. And even
Mm.
after it heals, that's what occupational therapy is for. That's what physical therapy is for.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we do rehab. We're not physical therapists, but it's the
Mm.
same premise that you have to
Mm.
retrain the nervous system to include full mobility of that right hind leg.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. That
every
makes sense.
time What's interesting, and this just came from experience, is every single time I make an improvement in that
Mhm.
situation, it's going to look lame again and again and
Mhm.
again and again
Until you get to
because
it.
as
Yeah.
you're slowly improving function, and that's why I'm so patient with the speed they
Mhm.
offer, with what they can do,
Mhm.
because that's helping us find the threshold of comfort as you're
Yeah.
restoring function. But
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it's not unusual at all that as soon as you get an improvement, especially with hind quarter engagement or use of the hind legs, the first thing
Hmm.
you see is the struggle.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
see the
Yeah.
struggle and you see hopefully at this point it's more of a mechanical lameness that you're seeing and not a painful
Yeah.
lameness. Those are two different things.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so if
Yeah.
you have a
And he,
mechanical lameness, which we know he does, then what you're doing is having to work with comfort thresholds that the horse tells you, like him stopping is his and refusing to move forward or needing a lot of halts is his way of telling you, I'm not really that comfortable.
mm,
That's how
yeah.
horses tell us, right?
Yeah.
And if they're
Yeah.
scared, then they might bolt or they might react or buck or act out. But if they're
Yeah.
calm, they're just usually going to stop when they get uncomfortable.
Yeah. What about, so I'm just going to message someone quickly. What about if he drops his penis? Is that a sign of pain or not necessarily?
That's actually a sign of relaxation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
If
He's all
it's if
chilled out then.
Yeah, if it's all hanging out, that's usually a sign of good relaxation.
Okay, that's good. Um, so I'm just messaging someone, they're trying to ring me.
That's okay. I'm
Um,
I'm getting the screen ready to share anyways.
yeah.
There we go.
And with front hoof, sorry, what did you call it? The
Um,
arthritis,
yeah, arthritis. It's just called ring bone because it's usually
ring bone.
between P1, P2, and P3. And so if it's on the
Yeah.
front, because it's kind of the joints are like a ring. So any arthritis in those joints, they call side bone or ring bone.
Yeah, yeah, and I get I don't know, I get the feeling that that gives him some discomfort as well. When he has his little hooning moments in the paddock, sometimes the next day it's like he's trying to tiptoe around on his front feet.
Yeah, that you can
Uh,
do yourself in. So I don't know, like I'm actually riddled with arthritis in my shoulders. So if I overdo it, then I feel the discomfort and I have to
mhm,
like kind of ease back a little bit. Or I
mm,
can have a flare up where I do something and sometimes I'll overuse the muscles and it'll create some muscular pain and some discomfort. And it's like I had injured, my right shoulder was injured. A horse pulled my arm back. When they pulled
oh,
back, I had the reins
yeah,
over my elbow and it
yeah,
jerked my arm back and injured my shoulder. And that's when I found out I had arthritis. So
Yeah.
99% of the time I have zero pain,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
I know it's there. So if I aggravate it or if I do something that aggravates it, then I'm going to be
Mm.
uncomfortable for a little while and I have to ease back.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Yeah.
his prognosis of arthritis on both front pasterns basically and
Mm-hmm.
the right hock and then the old injuries on the right hind, that's the best news possible because that's where that kind of musculoskeletal discomfort or pain is
Mm-hmm.
what you're working to remedy by changing his coordination.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the best therapy for it. And if you have to have some pain mitigation in the process, I'm all on board with that. Like the meds he's on just
Yeah.
eases him through those changes in coordination to make the whole thing easier for him. He can do
Yeah.
more if it's not as painful.
Yeah. Yeah. He's definitely improving. He's definitely improving with his general behavior as well. He still really struggles to put his feet up for the farrier, or even for me, just
Hmm.
holding his feet up. I think it's his balance. I don't think it's his behavior. And luckily, I've got a very patient farrier. I could be wrong though. Maybe it is partly learnt behavior. I don't know. Like he pulls his
So,
leg constantly.
well, I just went over this with another client whose horse was like, I think it's in the basic handling workbook if you want to review picking up the leg at all. But when I teach a horse to give the foot, sometimes they're not good for the farrier because they really don't know how to balance on three legs. So
No.
sometimes when we pick the feet, we're doing it fast enough that they don't really have to balance on their other three legs.
Mm-hmm.
So what you can do to prepare him for the farrier is when you pick the feet, start holding them up longer and longer and see if he tries to take them away.
And if he does try to take them away, like snatching, let him or try and
Y-
hold it, like fight with
No,
him to hold
no,
it.
don't hold it. You'll wrench your back. You'll kill your shoulders. No, don't hold it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
they outweigh us. And
Yeah.
so what I do is just let him have the foot, and then I ask for them to pick it up immediately again. And one of the
Hmm.
things I think I took for granted was when I pick my horse's feet, as soon as I kind of get next to the leg, they lift their own hoof. There's no weight on that
Oh,
leg.
wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
they lift
How
their
did you
own
teach him
hoof
to
and
do that?
they hold it in the air so that
How
I
did you
can
teach
clean
him
it.
to do that?
Repetition. So
Okay.
basically,
I need that then. Yeah.
yeah, and the way I do it is outlined in the basic handling book under, I think, either farrier prep or under grooming. I can't remember, or hoof care.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if a horse can't lift the foot up for you, like I squeeze the chestnut on the front legs, and if they won't lift the foot for you
Hmm.
and hold it in the air, then they might not be
Hmm.
very good at balancing on the other three legs. If they need to take it back
That,
quickly, then
yeah.
it could just
That's
be he
exactly
doesn't
what
know
I
how to
think
do
the
it.
issue is.
Yeah.
I personally think that's what it is. Like he's now 12 and he's been trimmed every, 4 to 5 weeks. And I've always had really good patient trimmers and farriers
Hmm.
that kind of try and allow him to get his balance. But yeah, he always, I don't know, it's tricky.
Yeah, well, a farrier is just going to be better at handling the hooves. But
Hmm.
what we can do as horse owners to make farrier work easier for the farrier, less dramatic, and your farrier will love you,
Mhm.
is
Mhm.
if we simulate when we're picking the feet, we don't
Mhm.
necessarily have to stretch the leg out in all the different positions that they use, but the
Mhm.
horse should be able to hold their own foot up in the air for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
if they can't do that, then I don't tie them. I keep them loose so they can move forward, move back, kind of shift their weight around and figure out
Mhm.
how to hold their own foot up for you. It's not your job to hold the foot for them. It's their job to
Yeah.
hold the hoof up for you.
Hmm.
And he's looking pretty good, by the way. And I can see the
Oh, good.
stiffness you're talking about.
Yep.
And I think at this point with him, when you see, because the hind legs, both of them look stiff, and the right hind looks a little worse than the left hind, I would agree. Um,
Hmm.
like I want to say he drags the toe a little more on the right hind. He drags the toe a little bit on both, but that dragging of the toe when they walk forward, what that means is just the joints of of the leg is they aren't flexing enough,
Mm.
right? So his joints are a little bit more in extension than flexion. So he's a bit peg-legged, straight-legged,
Mhm.
and that's what makes
Yeah.
the toe drag. And
Yeah.
so what we've been working towards to really restore the one exercise that will really restore the functionality of the lumbar, the pelvis, and both hind legs all the way down to the feet is long reins on a circle. And
Hmm.
it's like having to work with his comfort level is the tricky part because the
Mm.
amount he loses forward once you get on a circle is, and you have to push him a little bit, but then the question becomes how much if it's
Mhm.
really a battle, then he's not ready. And
Yeah.
if it's
Yeah.
tedious, if it's a lot of repetition, but it's tedious, then he can do it. Does that make
Hmm.
sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I like what you're doing here. I still think the best combination for him is the straight lines and then work in a half circle or a full circle. I haven't
Hmm.
seen him in a while, and
Hmm.
I think he has a lot more desire to move forward. Like which
Mm.
is the desire to move forward is how we can tell if they're comfortable, if they're
Yes.
not
Yeah.
in pain, right? So when they lose the
Hmm.
desire to go forward, we tend to call them lazy or stubborn, and it's usually because that level of discomfort is getting very close to pain threshold.
Yeah. Yeah. He's definitely stopping less, which is good.
So that's
So
sorry, go
one
ahead.
question as well. Is it more beneficial when I go down the long sides now? I normally do it from the inside rather than standing behind him.
Hmm.
Is that slightly more beneficial than standing
Yes,
behind him? Yeah,
yes.
okay.
It's more challenging. So when you're behind him, you're sort of guiding him into a better spinal alignment. So you're
Yeah,
reducing the lateral bending of the spine. But when you
yeah.
work from
Which
the
I
in,
feel he's which I feel he's got that now quite good. Do
very
you
good.
agree?
I do
Like
too.
yeah,
Hmm.
front to back. Where initially when we first started, he was like this. He couldn't
Yes,
walk a straight line. So
right.
now I feel like he's
And
like an
not only
arrow.
that, but he was very, very consistent in long and low, and when his nose hit the ground, he sort of like lost steering. So
Mm,
that's him telling us you need to move on. This isn't enough anymore. It was plenty
mm,
to begin with, and then he sort of goes, okay, I've got that part relatively solid, but it's not enough for him to be in balance.
yeah,
So
yeah,
working from the inside is addressing a different spinal function. It's still a left-right movement of the spine, but it's the rotation movement.
yeah.
And
Hmm.
so with the pelvis, the reason the rotation is so important and the long reins, the tension you're putting on the long reins is affecting the levelness of the pelvis first. So that's
Yeah.
why even if the head is bent to the outside on the circle, it doesn't matter. It's
Hmm.
affecting the levelness of the hindquarters first. The levelness of the hindquarters and the stability of the pelvic bones is what brings the mobility back into the hip joint, the stifle, the hock, and then the pastern
Yeah.
or the
Yeah.
fetlock, right? So
Hmm.
So it's got to start at the top, at the pelvic bones, because as long as the pelvic bones are unstable, so they can be unlevel, either like one side high all the time, the other side high when you change direction, or in
Mm-hmm.
his case, they were just kind of moving too much all the time. So every time I've looked at video of him, I look at your saddle pad and I look at the pelvic bones, which are the top of the hindquarter, either side of the tail, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when the when the saddle and the top of the pelvis, like just there, look level as he's coming around a turn,
Mm-hmm.
that's doing two things. It's restoring the flexion of the hip, stifle, hock, and fetlock joints, right? Where
Mm-hmm.
they look peg-legged when the joints don't bend, when they only
Yeah.
straighten. That's what makes them
Yeah.
look peg-legged and stiff, and that's why they drag the toe.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing it's going to do is if the pelvis is level on a turn, it's going to keep working the hip joint first, which is your forward placement of both hind legs, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if the pelvis is unstable, it causes the hip joint to lock a little bit in extension, which puts the hind legs behind him. When the hip joint flexes, and you can't really see it, we can really see the stifle and the hock, but we can't see the hip joint as easily. But when the hip
Mm-hmm.
joint flexes, that's what brings the hind leg forward under his body. And when
Yeah.
it extends, it puts the hind leg behind his body.
Yeah.
So he's not great with the flexion part. And then if you have a little bit of arthritis in there, you're
Mm-hmm.
managing some discomfort while you're restoring
Yeah.
that mobility, that flexion of the joints.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, do you focus on the back legs, like their, what am I trying to say? Their flight through the air, like their, it's called something, isn't it? I can't remember the term that you've used.
The
But
flight
when you
path. Hmm.
the flight path, when you're behind them, are you looking that the back leg swings dead straight, not slightly
Inward
swinging
or,
out,
yeah.
swinging in or okay, yeah. And
So,
what's a bit hard to see from this video, but have you ever noticed how Pablo's is?
yeah, so Pablo's right hind swings forward and into the midline, right? So
Right.
if we look
Okay.
at him coming towards us, his left hind tracks a bit straighter behind the left front leg. And you can kind of
Mm-hmm.
see this. It's not the tracking up that you want the hind leg to track into the front footprint. What we want to see are the hind leg tracking directly behind the front leg. So as he
Yeah.
comes back into view here, what I notice that you might be seeing as a short stride is his left hind leg, when it swings and lands, we'll see it maybe where he's going away from us. The left
Mm-hmm.
hind leg looks pretty straight, and the right hind leg, do you see how the cannon bone is lands at an angle?
Yeah. Yeah. It does.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that cannon bone landing at an angle is going all the way up to the hip joint and the pelvis being a little higher on that side of the hindquarters, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in
Yeah.
other words, instead, like his left hind leg tracks straight and the right hind leg, it's not it necessarily a shorter stride. It's that the leg is going into the
Coming
midline.
inside.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's
Yeah.
not tracking straight. So if you think
Mm.
of that, and that's what disengaging the hindquarters does, it causes the hind leg, like when they're engaged, the hind leg should track in a straight line, not towards the midline
Yeah.
or away
Yeah.
from the midline. It should just be behind the
Mm-hmm.
front legs. And so this is just maybe while he was healing, like there where he's stopping, what I like seeing that's really a big improvement is he's getting more distance between his hind legs. That
Yeah.
distance between his hind legs has been increasing. And there's
Yeah.
still, he has a little bit of trouble with the right hind that it doesn't swing straight forward. That flight
Mm.
path is a little bit forward and inward towards his midline. And that's
Yeah.
something you can watch to change because if we got into this, like the details, right, of the mechanics, that that would be the restoration of the mobility of that leg as it's changing through the stifle and hock, and well, even the hip joint, you should see that leg start to straighten out in its swing, that
Mhm.
it goes more behind the front right leg. So when you put
Mhm.
him on a circle like you're doing right now, when he puts slack on the inside rein, you're pulling the hindquarters towards you, right, to
Mhm.
take the slack out of the inside rein. That is the exact step where instead of the right hind leg habitually tracking inward, when the right hind leg is on the inside of the circle, even if his neck is bent to the outside, you're causing
Mhm.
that right hind leg to step towards you away from the midline. That's the
Yeah.
opposite swing of the leg. So
Yeah.
that will work on the muscle, tendon, ligament, and joints very differently. And I think that's
Mhm.
part of the reason he stops on the circles is because that's pulling on some tight muscles. It's pulling on, it's
Mhm.
kind of aggravating some old habits. And his
Yeah.
leg landing towards the midline is a long-term habit. So whenever he's on a turn, and you pull that hindquarter towards you with the outside rein, you can even look
Yeah.
for him to make a step away from the
Yeah.
midline. That
Yeah.
that would be super beneficial for him.
Yeah. So would it be oh well, I'll try and do them even anyway, but is it more beneficial for him to go on the right rein so that right hind is inside and having to step?
It restores the function a little faster because when it's on the inside of your straight lines or your turns, that's
Mm,
where it really requires the most amount of flexion, but it's easier for him to bring the hind leg forward when it's on the inside of the turn.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's he's gonna stop more often, but as far as
Mhm.
restoring functionality of the leg, it's more beneficial.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then
Mhm.
I just wanted to point this out because as you're going down the long side here, straight, but you're working him from the inside, this is a great example of what we were just talking about. You're already doing it, and I just want to point it out to you. So you're feeling the long reins, and just watch the right hind as you pull the hindquarters towards you. It's very minimal, but you see how he's stepping towards you with the right
Yeah.
hind leg and it's straightening it out.
Yes. Yeah. I do see that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it doesn't have to be the circle. The circle will require more flexion through the joints, so he might
Mhm.
complain because they're a little arthritic. But
Mhm.
even on the straight lines, that's why I said wherever you can get forward, self-propelled forward,
Mhm.
working from the inside on the long reins is going to keep working the weakest link of his balance, which is that right
Yeah.
hind leg.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so if he can only do it on straight lines, what that's telling you is this is a big ass deal to him. He's got some
Mm.
muscular tightness. He may have arthritis in there, but he's
Mhm.
happily working on it. So the one thing that tells you is it's not
Mhm.
painful to him,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? It can be uncomfortable, but not painful. That's what rehab is going to involve, a
Yeah.
certain level of discomfort. And that's why we really have to look at the horse's choices to find those discomfort thresholds to keep moving in a positive direction. Because as soon as the discomfort becomes too much, like if you got the whip out and said you had to move,
Oh,
don't be a lazy bastard, right? You have to move.
yeah.
The body's only going to become more and more protective. And
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to get the rehab done once the body becomes protective.
Yeah.
So if he's calm and he's focused on the work, then he's not protecting himself. He's trying to change his coordination as best he can.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to keep hitting these thresholds of discomfort. But like you said, the progress is slow, but you
Mm-hmm.
keep seeing the progress. So that's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
his rate at which he can comfortably change his coordination. And
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, I have done this a million times. Put horses through it. There's
Mm-hmm.
not a lot of ways you can speed it up. The body at
No.
the end of the day,
What it is, isn't it?
yeah. And it's like I look at my mom in rehab and go, there's just no speeding this up. It
Mm-mm.
just, it is what it is. This is where we're at. And this is how we're going to get back to healthy mobility. But
Mm-hmm.
he's the one sort of putting in the speed limit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm actually really thrilled with how he looks, and he doesn't look so heavy on the forehand. He doesn't look as tender on his front feet, which means, and this is the tricky part, the human eye can't see the deep internal changes. And we
Mm.
even have a hard time developing our eye to see the subtle changes through the back and the hindquarter and the leg use. It's very
Mm-hmm.
subtle. The human eye really can't detect it too easily. And that's why I kind of like working with the video. We can point
Yeah.
things out.
Mm-hmm.
But in real time, even at this slow of a walk, it happens faster than the human eye can really detect. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we're kind of looking for bigger, broader signs like, is he cooperative? Is he self-motivated to go forward? Is he
Yeah.
lengthening the neck? Like, is the pace picking up at all? Can he do a circle without stopping? Those are all the big outer indicators that you're on the right track.
Mm.
But like restoring function to a body that has lost function, I go, there's no way around the tedious part.
Mm.
There's
No, exactly.
And everybody that's come up with a gadget or a technique, or they think they're good enough to sort of circumvent it and shortcut it, I go,
Mm.
it usually lands in a more complicated problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and actually, Deb and I just did a podcast on this. I think it comes out Saturday that what we can see visually is literally the last thing to change.
Mm.
It's the last thing to change. And so we slog and we get little hints that we're on the right track.
Yeah.
The good news is it's kind of like learning to swim or ride a bike. All of this work you're doing to guide his coordination, when it's in there, it's in there.
Mm-hmm.
He isn't
Yeah.
he isn't ever, and this is what you've seen so far, they don't go backwards. They don't regress because the better coordination is more efficient, it's easier, it's more comfortable, it feels safer.
Yeah.
So they want it to the best of their ability.
Mm.
And as his ability to hold that coordination keeps improving, there should come a time where suddenly it goes from slog, slog, slog to like, oh, he can just do this now. He can
Yeah.
just do it. It's easy for him, right?
Yeah. The moment I'm going to hold a party is when he can trot on a circle.
Right? That's right. We'll get
That'd
out the
be amazing. Oh, we
cocktail
will.
umbrellas. Yep.
Yeah.
So kind of watch as he comes around the circle, right? Even with the neck to the outside. Let me back that up a little because this is what this is why the long reins on the circle, it helps with the engagement of the hindquarters, but it also releases a boatload of tension through the shoulders and neck.
Mm-hmm.
If you watch him come around this, I missed it. Hang on, there was just one step maybe. I don't want to go back too far. Yeah, I think it's just as he comes into the camera. You can see the left front leg really starting to reach in on the circle. Rather than him
Yeah.
just falling forward, he's getting
Mm-hmm.
more width. So
Yes.
when the right hind leg is on the outside of the circle and you're pulling the long reins towards you,
Mm-hmm.
you're causing the right hind leg to step towards the midline and the left hind leg to step away from the midline. There's
Mm-hmm.
benefit in both directions, but when he goes left, it's repeating the pattern that you're trying to change a little bit. Does that
Mm-hmm.
make sense? You can't
Yeah. Yeah.
ignore the left direction, but if I
Mm.
start to see a big discrepancy between the left hind and the right hind, there's nothing wrong with working him only to the right for a couple of
Mm-hmm.
weeks
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
because that leg just has more work to do to restore function.
Yeah.
So you can work him lopsided when you see he kind of needs to catch up a little bit on one side.
I saw that that inside leg come across then, just as he come
Hmm.
around that corner. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of why, like where he kind of his hocks came close together and his hind legs were very, very narrow when we started. They're
Mm-hmm.
gradually kind of getting straighter through the hocks
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
wider. And
Yeah.
and that's part of pelvic engagement. That can't
Mm-hmm.
happen in the lower legs until the pelvis and the lumbar are stable.
Yeah, yeah. I'm even
Yeah.
seeing him in the paddock a lot more now, standing a little bit wider, not all the time.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, but whereas previously it was never like he'd stand there and his back hooves would literally be touching.
Yeah.
That's how
And so
narrow he'd be.
that's a lot of muscle tightness in the oblique muscles, adductor, abductor muscle group. And so
Hmm.
that can make it difficult for him to balance on three legs for the farrier, come full circle.
Yes.
So the
Yeah.
more width you see develop between the front legs and the hind legs, the easier
Hmm.
it will be for him to hold his hoof up for you or for the farrier. But
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
it can be sometimes we never have taken the time with a horse to really help them figure out how to comfortably balance on three legs and hold their foot in the air for 5 minutes. They can all
Yeah.
do it, but it's like some of them just don't know how because we've never really given them the time to figure it out. We just take the foot,
Mm.
clean it, and they kind of wobble there as long as they have to. But that's
Yeah.
usually horses that are not good for the farrier. That's in the mix somewhere, even with or without a pain issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm pretty happy with your progress. I haven't seen him in a while, but
Hmm.
I think it's looking good. And the fact
Mm.
that you're getting at least a half a circle without him stopping way more
Mm.
frequently than what you were getting before.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I will throw a party when he can do a full circle at the walk without stopping. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's going to be a big mile marker for you. And you can play with, days where you feel up for it or you think he's up for it. Bring the whip out, see if you can use the whip to just gently encourage him to stay on a circle for maybe one or two revolutions. And
Hmm.
he looks like he's doing well enough that you can push gently a little bit here and there, like sort of see if he can do better than his personal best
Yeah.
and see if he can just make a little improvement, like with pushing or with some encouragement, could he make it
Mm.
all the way around one full circle without
Yeah.
stopping? And
Yeah.
he's used to his habits too, so he might not know he can do it. without a little bit of
Mm.
like, rah, rah,
Yeah,
rah,
sometimes,
you can do it.
yeah. And it's funny, he's got certain spots that he'll stop. So it's always moving away from the gate. That's where he'll stop.
Hmm.
So I do think a lot of it's a little bit habit, but
Yeah.
yeah.
And horses have habits like we do. And it's sort of like you don't know you can do something. Sometimes it takes a little bit of encouragement. So when I'm firm with horses, I'm firm with their best interest in mind. And this isn't to
Mm,
say whip his butt, it's to say just see if you can push a little bit past some of his habitual thresholds
yeah,
and just
yeah,
in a way that you're like his personal trainer, not his slave master.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because we can all use a little encouragement sometimes.
Hmm. You know what he does like? He's quite funny. If I tell him when he stops, if I tell him he's a good boy and pat him on his nose, he then he's chuffed and he walks off.
Oh,
He's quite cute.
yeah. So if you find a strategy, like maybe that's a far better strategy than getting the whip out, but maybe, you work on circles, and if he stops, tell him he's a good boy, and then see if he'll go on, but stay on the circle. Try it.
Mm.
I think he's
Yeah,
ready.
yeah,
Like when he's
yeah.
coming around these turns, he's got just enough forward energy to not stop, but he's
Hmm.
elevating his neck and head. The elevation of that long neck is really what you're looking for on the turns or the circles to know that he is really using his hindquarters to maximum capacity.
Mm. So see that neck there?
Hmm.
That's a bit low, isn't it?
Yeah, a little low.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
So
it's
when it
really,
comes kind of level with his withers,
let
that's
me
what I'm
back
looking
it up.
for.
Yep, because it's a great example here. He's a little low. Then he stops and he's very low. Of course, he has an itch.
Hmm.
So just as he gets going and you come into this left turn, he keeps the neck long, but he elevates the head to the same height as the back. And you see he's
Hmm.
poking his nose out there. He's really lengthening his neck, but he's
Hmm.
holding his own neck up.
Yeah.
In those steps, and they only lasted for what, a 16th of a circle. You got about 5 or 6 strides, but the 5 or 6 strides that he can do that is the coordination that we're looking for,
Hmm.
right? That
Yeah.
is the coordination where he is engaged enough through the height. First of all, he's straight and level. That's why the neck is long. And secondly,
Hmm.
that long neck elevating tells you he resisted his own body weight from crashing to his forehand. That's what
Hmm.
lifting the back and engaging the hindquarters does, right?
Yeah.
And then the rest of the time, his neck is a little on the low side. And so that's where I would play with. I don't know if you can stay on the turn longer or, um, but you see here, this time he lifted his neck, but he stopped. That tells you he did the same thing. He nailed the coordination, but in to him, it felt too hard to also keep moving.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so if he elevates like there, he elevates the neck a little more there on the turn. Very, very good. Very good. So the
Hmm.
posture is giving us the clue about the coordination we want. The speed has nothing to do with it. The stride length has nothing to do with it. It's sort of
Yeah.
the long neck tells us he's pretty solid with being straight through the spine and level, no twisting.
Hmm.
The elevation of the neck is him beginning to engage the hindquarters and lift the back just enough that he's
Mm.
not overloading his own front legs.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what it tells us. And in this video, like towards the end, because we're getting close to about 30 minutes, that he did it more at the end of your session than at the beginning,
Mm.
right? So he needs what you're doing to keep developing the strength of the hindquarters, the coordination of the hindquarters. But by the end of 30 minutes, he gave you at least two that we just pointed out,
Mm.
series, little string of steps where
Yeah.
his three-dimensional balance, three-dimensional coordination came together. That's very
Mm.
exciting because
Yes.
if you can get one step, you can get that will be how he moves. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? And
Yeah.
so you're still having to navigate the forwardness and all of that, but that's fantastic. Like
Mm.
that's absolutely fantastic. And if he's losing forward as soon as you turn, you're not going to get that. That's the difference.
Yeah.
You got to have
Yeah.
a little some forward to work with to get that coordination.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that's
Sorry,
good.
I switched
Yeah.
horses because that was at the end of the video. But before
Yeah.
we look
Yeah.
at Stitch, anything about Pablo? Any other questions or?
No, no, that's good. We'll just keep slogging along.
I think you're very close. I want to say you're maybe 2 to 4 weeks
Yeah.
out on him being able to really stay on circles. Once he can
Yeah.
stay on circles, it's still going to feel tediously slow. But if he
Hmm.
can do circles without halting, that
Yes.
is, then you're on the path of his new coordination gaining a lot of momentum. Things will start happening faster after that.
Yeah. Yeah. So you still have hope that one day he could walk, trot, and canter at a normal pace, maybe.
He just showed us he could. Because
Okay.
here's here's the way we look at it, traditional training. We want
Hmm.
to see the speed in order to balance the coordination.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's actually backwards.
Mm.
Because if we
Yeah.
get the and if you think of it logically, you don't get in a sports car on the highway when you are learning how to drive,
No.
right? You're in the
Yeah.
park in the US, especially if like I don't know, we call it a stick shift, a manual transmission,
Hmm.
which nobody can drive anymore because that takes more coordination than just, an automatic
Right.
transmission.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so even like learning to work the clutch and the accelerator and the brake, you put yourself in an arena, like a high school parking lot, where there's not a lot
Mm.
of obstacles, where you can go as
Yeah.
slow as you want. You can, lurch your passengers around until you get the hang
Yep.
of it. But
Hmm.
once you learn the coordination of driving, then you can brake and accelerate and go fast or go slow and follow the rules of the road and also drink your
Yeah.
coffee, talk on your phone, do whatever,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
and you don't forget how to drive.
No. No.
Even if you don't drive for 3 years, you don't forget how, or ride a bike or swim. And so
Hmm.
that's what you're doing right now is he's learning the coordination. And what we just saw Pablo do that I pointed out, when he's
Hmm.
keeping his neck long and he's elevating it voluntarily to the level
Hmm.
of his back, that
Yeah.
is that is the first moment of him gaining his full entire three-dimensional coordination.
Mm. Yeah. Isn't it a shame that it's this is not the standard for starting horses, that this is what you do to get them balanced?
Yeah, I mean
And then
that's why I do rehab because we don't
yeah.
start horses that way. And
Yeah.
all the traditional things you did with Pablo landed
Hmm.
him in this place where now you have to go back and train his
Mm.
body the
Mm.
correct coordination so that he can successfully, safely carry a rider. And we take
Yeah.
for granted that because horses aren't falling over, they figured it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But I
Hmm.
go, they have 4 legs. They don't fall over very easily, but they can be very uncomfortable, very unstable, and still not fall over. But
Hmm.
the side effect is think of how many people who have horses that have behavioral issues, lameness
Oh, yeah.
issues, health
Yeah.
issues. I
Hmm.
go, that's the price we pay for
Yeah.
not helping the coordination right up front.
Yeah. Actually, I was going to ask your opinion on what percent of horses do you think are not balanced? Because really, if you think about it, it's really the luck. Okay, they might be born very balanced, just be lucky enough and then have a very good rider
Hmm.
that's not unbalanced them, or they've been a little bit unbalanced, but then a good rider has kind of straightened them out. But that's probably not that common, is it?
It's not that
Mm.
common. And it's kind of like I look at it like there are talented horses and there are talented people, athletically
Mm.
talented, right? And I
Yeah.
go, so sometimes you get a athletically talented horse with an athletically talented rider, and they just don't have a lot of problems.
Hmm.
But then there's the rest of us, right?
Yeah.
And I go, even if you think of like it's a classic thing that somebody who's really athletically talented, say in lower levels of school, or even through high school or something, right? And then they
Hmm.
want to go pro. The difference between being athletically talented could make you the all-star athlete of your high school, but to go to the level of pro, you now need a personal trainer, you need a coach, you need to relearn how to play the same game
Mm.
because talent alone can't always get you where you want to go,
No, no.
right?
So that a rider to keep a horse balanced has to actually understand
What that means.
what that means,
Yep.
not just be able to stay on really well
Yeah,
or
because
go over the jump or
if
whatever.
you think of
Yeah.
it, if we just look at the physics of it, we are a living weight and mass, right?
Mm.
And we're straddling the spine of the horse, sitting on their back. So
Hmm.
every little weight shift we make, every little muscle we tighten or loosen, it has a dynamic influence on the horse's ability to balance or not. You
Mm.
can't get away from that. So, like
Yeah.
when you start riding, what you're doing right now is building up their coordination. You're teaching them how to dance, right?
Hmm.
So, how to dance is a little higher skill than just walking down the sidewalk or walking to school. And so,
Hmm.
horses, it's kind of the equivalent. We have to teach them the coordination of dancing as a dance partner with humans, and the
Hmm.
human has to learn how to dance. And when you put the rider and the horse together, the rider is sort of the lead of the dance, and the horse is the follower. So, like if you did the waltz, the man leads the waltz and the woman follows. And that's a very
Yeah.
similar analogy to the horse and rider, right?
Hmm.
So if you have a really good lead, you can make the horse look like it can dance, but maybe it doesn't really know how. So then you get a rider who's not a strong lead and the horse can't dance,
Mm. Yeah.
right? And what you're doing is training your own horse, both of your horses, to
Hmm.
learn like the dance so that you
Mm.
can ride them safely and they can be comfortable and feel
Yeah.
safe with a rider.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for
My camera looks
Stitch.
really blurry. Yeah, my camera looks really blurry. I don't know if I've gone and put my fingerprints over it or something when I've set Evo. I'll have to clean my phone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
so Stitch,
I haven't seen Stitch in a while and I'm waiting for him to get a little closer to the camera. I'm just letting it play through while we're
yeah.
chit-chatting. But
So oh, sorry,
oh, I was
you
just
go.
going to say one more thing about sort of the dancing analogy. If you
Hmm.
think of people learning to dance, it's sort of like this slog that you're doing now with your horses. You don't learn ballet overnight. You spend a lot of time at the bar, repeating, practicing, learning the coordination of the different moves of ballet before you even
Yeah,
get off the bar and go across the floor,
yeah,
right? So that's a little bit where you're at with your horses is sort of like bar work.
yeah. We're training school. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And it takes longer when you now have older horses with habits that have created pain and discomfort, created lameness
Mm.
or behavioral issues. You're kind of below zero. Like with a green
Mm.
horse, maybe you're at zero with no health issues, and a
Yeah.
horse that just doesn't know you're at zero. But
Yeah.
rehab, you're starting below zero to get to zero to then get to where they can do their
Hmm.
job with ease.
Yeah.
He looks a lot better. So he doesn't look quite as skinny as last time. He doesn't by any means look overweight, but he looks like he's put some muscle back on.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
doesn't look.
Oh, I was going to say the vet came out yesterday to do his or Wednesday, sorry, to do his next blood test to see how he's going with his EMS. He's
Hmm.
still a little bit high, so he's still on half a tablet a day plus his Cushing's medication.
Hmm.
Um, and she doesn't want him to put any weight on. She said, yeah, he's not allowed to put any weight on, so
Yeah.
that, which is really hard, isn't it? Because I just want to feed them all the time, but
Well,
I'm trying to control myself.
What you're going to see with Stitch that will be really interesting is because he had so much time off with no work, plus the pain issue and the health issues. The last time I
Hmm.
saw him, you had just started him back to work, and
Hmm.
he looked really skinny, but to my eye, it wasn't the thinness. He just looked like he had no muscle.
Yes, yeah.
And this time, he doesn't look fat. He doesn't look heavy by any means, but he looks like he's put on some muscle. So he doesn't look as tight with all that definition, muscle definition, and all that.
Hmm.
His muscles look softer, and he
Yeah,
looks a little rounder than he did last time.
yeah. Yeah, sorry about the footage. It's really blurry.
That's
Can't
okay.
even see.
I'm kind of, I can see when he's down at that end. So I'm just looking really, I'm looking at the overall posture, like sort of the silhouette from his head down his neck, his back, his hindquarters. I'm looking a little bit at the leg movement. And then I'm looking at sort of the speed he's choosing, the energy he has. This is, I have to say, since you addressed all the health issues, even though physically he looked worse, he looks more
Mm-hmm.
focused and calmer than I've ever seen him. And I
Mm.
think you said he's just really turned into a sweetheart.
Yeah, yeah. Before, yeah, when he was in all that pain, he was always distracted a lot. I mean, he's a little bit distracted sometimes compared to Pablo, I suppose I'm
Hmm.
comparing to, but he's just a lot better though than what he was, and he's a lot happier. He's less snarly, less nippy.
Yeah. So that's a good example of a horse that might look uncomfortable in motion. The body might look like a train wreck, but when
Mm,
they're calm and more focused, it tells you that they're not having a pain issue or a level of discomfort that's starting to become debilitating. And
mm,
so now everything you see when you're working him has a lot less to do with which nervous system he's in and a lot more to do with just strictly the physical coordination
yeah,
challenges.
yeah.
But I remember when you started him on the long reins, there was still a lot of spooking or yelling or anxiety
Mhm.
moments, and they were going away. We were on the right track, but he's
Yeah.
a different horse now. He just looks like a
Yes.
different horse.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a real cutie.
Yeah, so everything you're working on now, and I like that you're working him just from the inside. I wouldn't even
Hmm.
bother with doing the ground driving behind him because
No.
he looks really like without the adrenaline of the anxiety or the
Hmm.
I guess it's cortisol that goes with the snarkiness. It's like
Yeah.
now you can kind of see he's wobbly.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's unstable. And
Hmm. Yeah.
that's when you work him. from the inside, once you develop the skills to work the long reins from the inside, it's far
Hmm.
faster. You get a much faster recovery when you work the
Hmm.
horses that way compared to walking behind. And I go, the
Yeah.
walking behind is what I have to do if a horse loses forward or I can't work them from the inside.
Mm.
But even if you're
Yeah.
doing more straight lines than circles, working from the inside really stabilizes the body a lot faster than when you walk behind them on the long reins.
Yeah. 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 I feel like we've progressed from walking behind.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And at least he's a lot more forward than Pablo. So it,
Yeah. It's a bit refreshing, I must say, even though he's,
it'll
not
be slow,
running
but you're
around.
not, yeah, you're not dealing with the chronic stopping. And
Yes.
so his recovery may go quite a bit faster than Pablo's because he's more comfortable moving
Hmm.
and he isn't in discomfort with the movement anymore, which was sort of what slowed it down before
Mm.
was if they're having stress response, if they're under stress, you're not going to change the
Yeah.
coordination in that moment. You have to address the stress. And
Yeah. Yeah.
and in his case, I think it was his way of telling you he didn't feel well.
Yes. Yeah.
Because even when you took both of them to the vet for the initial lameness exam, I expected the diagnosis to be way worse for Pablo than Stitch, and it was the other way around.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah. So Stitch might just have a much higher threshold for discomfort than Pablo has.
I think that's definitely just personality wise, the
Yeah.
minute, yeah,
Pablo might
Pablo
be a bit of a
can't deal with
princess.
anything with that. He's very much a princess and very emotional.
Yeah.
So yeah, everything comes out. He's got an
Yeah.
opinion about everything. Which,
Yeah.
it's made me really focus on my handling skills, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I love horses like that because they have made me a better horse person. It's
Mm.
like there's some
No
horses.
shortcuts, is there?
What's that?
There's no shortcuts.
There's no shortcuts. And those are the
No.
horses that really guided my path of research and training and discovery because
Mm.
if it didn't work, like a lot of trainers will sort of gravitate to certain breeds or certain disciplines, and the horse that fails the system is a bad horse.
Mm.
And I turned that backwards on myself. I go, if I can't get this horse to do it, what am I missing? Where am I,
Mm.
where am I failing to help the horse?
Hmm.
And then I work with all different breeds, ages, disciplines. And so that thought really guided me at looking more and more and more at what horses had in common and why was this horse making progress where this other horse wasn't. And
Mm.
and those horses teach us about horses. That's what I like
Mm.
about horses like Pablo. They really
Yeah.
force you to look deeper and to start to understand more.
Yeah. Whereas I think Stitch's personality, or probably when he was younger, maybe not so much pain, he was a lot more obliging. I think he just would have,
Yes. He just
you
sort
know,
of figured out how to get by and mostly stay out of trouble. And then
yeah.
where Stitch came into your life, you were actually the one who was going to have to pay the price for the
Mm.
long-term toll that it had
Yes.
taken on his body.
Yeah. Funny enough, I bought him because Pablo, I wasn't riding Pablo because he was lame. I thought, well, I'd like a riding horse.
Hmm.
So I bought Stitch. And here we are.
No, and I did the same thing. It's like I bought horses thinking I just want an easy one, and they turned
Mm.
out to be the most difficult. I did the exact same thing, because
Mm.
I was getting like my first schoolmaster I thought I was buying to do dressage competition. I got him after
Hmm.
he had successfully competed fourth level. and he just fell apart. And he fell
Yeah.
apart. You know, when they fall apart in your hands, you first think, what am I doing wrong? Oh my God, I've ruined this horse. And you go through all of that. And then
And
it's like,
I sometimes wonder though, like maybe they fall apart with us because we allow them to in a good way,
yeah,
whereas a
we give,
previous rider a bit harsher and they have to keep it all together. Do you know what I mean?
hmm, yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. No, and
Mm.
then like, if the horse is still rideable, and I go, now I just take the ones that are unrideable because now they've gone lame or they've blown up mentally. And so I know
Hmm.
what I've got. And I go,
Yeah.
but when you buy a horse that you think can do all these things, it's like a lot of
Mhm.
times they just unravel on you. If you're
Yeah.
kind and you don't push them, I think you're
Hmm.
exactly right. They finally have the space to just unravel.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Which it needs to happen, doesn't it? Because,
it's
you know,
going to happen at some point. It
hmm
just, and sometimes it's just the luck of the draw. You're the person and it's the time. And
hmm
other times it's because we're kind. You give them the space, you let them have an opinion, and you kind of just open Pandora's box of problems.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I think Stitch is doing
That'd be a
well.
good training company name, wouldn't it? Opening Pandora's box.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, are you happy with what Stitch is doing?
Yep. Yeah.
And you feel like he's progressing, or do you have questions with him?
No, no questions. I think, yeah, he's definitely progressing. Um, I just need to spend a bit more time with him. It's been so hot here that, yeah, I haven't been able to do as much as I'd like to. So hopefully we'll get back to doing the 4 times per week.
And we just had our freeze come through. We had two freezing nights.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
some
what,
of my,
0?
yeah.
Oh, cold.
Well, for us, freezing is what, 32 degrees Fahrenheit? But yeah, zero.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
some of my
yeah.
plants are burnt.
Oh no. Okay.
But
Well, we're the opposite at the moment. So we've had one day it was 41 or 42. I don't know what
oh
that
my
is in Fahrenheit.
God, that's a lot. I
Really
know.
hot.
Yeah, that's really hot.
Hot, dry,
Um,
and windy, which is a bit scary because we get really bad bushfires.
yeah, that is scary.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I did send a query, which if you've got time to talk about. So
Mm-hmm.
I've been practicing float loading just in case we have to evacuate for a fire. Pablo and Stitch aren't too bad at getting on. I think because I've been doing a lot of work with them and they trust me now.
Mm-hmm.
Where there's an old horse in the paddock. It's my daughter's horse, an Arab. He's now 20. What is he? 26.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely boy, but he's very typical Arab, as in very. It's got high self-preservation.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
so I'll go, and he's very smart. Like there's no tricking him.
Yeah.
I'll put him. He'll load onto the trailer, okay. But the minute, and we've got a 3 horse side trailer float. But the minute I try and bring the bar across, he heads out the back.
Okay.
So, do you have any tips? I mean, I thought it might have just been I just have to do it 100 times.
No, what you're
So that.
really looking for, and this is where I use treats too, because, and I mean like a bucket of a whole bag of carrots sliced up,
Mhm.
a lot of treats. And
Yeah.
if he won't eat the treats, if the treats
Mhm.
don't interest him or they don't motivate him to move forward into the trailer, then
Mhm.
it is a fear issue. You have to deal with that a little differently.
I think it is a fair issue. So he'll get in there and he'll eat. I haven't put carrots, but I've put their pellets that they eat, which he
Hmm.
likes. Maybe I need to use carrots because they're a bit more high reward, aren't they? Um, but I think it's a fear thing because then his level of anxiety is up a little bit.
So
And if
then
I then,
So then what
yeah,
you want to do is don't let him get in the trailer. What you're going to do is go to the back of the float and
Mm-hmm.
you stand inside, get him to face
Yeah.
you, and
Mm-hmm.
then you're going without putting any tension on the halter or lead.
Mm-hmm.
See if he'll step towards you to get the treat.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, you want him to load himself with no tension on the just coming in for treats. And
Mm-hmm.
at some point before he's all the way in, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe once he gets all the way in,
Mm-hmm.
leave the back door open. Don't try to close him in. So
Mm-hmm.
you can be in there with him if it's safe, or be on the outside if that's not safe. But just go in there and make it a smorgasbord of treats and
Mm-hmm.
see if he can relax and eat treats with the door open and
Mm-hmm.
not try to back out. If he does try to back out on any part of the process, all the way in or after he's in, before you close the door, let him go
Mm-hmm.
out and then
Yeah.
redo it. So don't fight him going out.
Mm-hmm.
And then if he can stand in there untied with the door open for 5 consecutive minutes without needing to get out,
Mm-hmm.
then start making door noises.
Yeah.
Move the door, but don't try to close him in. And
Mm-hmm.
then he'll go shooting out the back, right?
Mm-hmm.
And go through the same process to get him back in. And then
Yeah.
once he's in, wiggle the door, but don't close it. So
Mm-hmm.
let him out as many times as he needs to come out and put him
Yeah.
back in. Um, but the test is if he won't take the treats once he's all the way in, then he doesn't feel safe enough just standing in the trailer to even begin
Mm.
to try to close the door. So that would
Yeah.
be
Okay.
the first thing I would look at is that he could stay in there, hand feed, bucket of treats, whatever. If he won't take food inside the trailer, then he's
Mm-hmm.
scared of being in the trailer. And that's why he
Yeah. Okay.
shoots out when you close it. So
Yeah. So,
you've just got to get him to feel safe inside the trailer, and then closing the door. You might have to work on that a little bit, but the real problem is that he might not feel safe being in the trailer.
yeah, yeah. So I think we're about halfway there then. So I mean, I've probably done about maybe 5 or 6 sessions with him, and he'll stand in the trailer. And I've been standing the other side of one of the partitions, so it's
Hmm.
just in case it breaks out. Um, and then he's quite good. Sometimes he'll go out, other times he'll stand in there, and it's probably about 5 minutes or more eating the food. It's then when I've been in another position,
To
he's
close it.
eating the food and then close it. So I think I need to play with the door part
Yeah,
to get him into
you
that.
can just move the door because he'll know the
Yeah,
sounds, he'll know your body position. The other
yeah,
thing to try, because you will have to play with the door for sure, but the other thing you could try is if he will stand in there for 5 minutes and eat food, then before
yeah,
you play with the door, take him in and out about 20 times kind of quickly.
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So, so what you're going to do is instead of closing the door, which is what he expects, you're going
Mm-hmm.
to unload him, reload him, unload him, reload him, unload him, reload him. So
Yeah.
if standing in there and eating for 5 minutes is already pretty good, then you
Mm-hmm.
have two different things to do, which would be play with the door and let him back out, bring him back in, and keep playing with the door. But
Yeah.
also, before you play with the door, because he's so smart, and this is the thing with Arabs,
Yeah.
you almost have to get more clever. Like you have to think around the direct approach.
Yeah.
And so, like maybe even while the doors are a bit loose or you're wiggling the door, you're also getting him in and out. Because when we
Mm-hmm.
ask, it's like when we ask the horses to back out,
Mm-hmm.
it actually makes them feel safer about being in.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. Yeah.
Yeah,
They're not trapped, are they?
they're not
Yeah.
trapped. And that's if he's kind of scooching out when he hears the divider closing, then
Mm.
he's just feeling trapped.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and you can even combine those two things. Like as he's coming in, you can move the door so it's in front of him.
Mm.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you can be
Yeah.
pretty creative because when you have a really smart horse like the Arabs,
Hmm.
your goal is for him to feel safe inside the trailer, that it's no different than his stall. Once you get
Mm.
him to believe that, you will never have a trailer loading problem with him ever again.
Yeah.
But he
Yeah.
doesn't really believe that.
Yeah. And then I thought the next thing will be when I actually so all three of them travel quite badly, and I presume with it's balance related.
Hmm.
Well, that's what I think anyway. So hopefully with Pablo and Stitch, because we're working on their balance, they'll be slightly improved. With Shah the Arab, he used to scramble on a straight load. That's why I got the
Mm,
three horse. I got three horses, but I have heard that on angle loads they do travel a little bit better.
hmm.
I've heard that easier for their balance. So, but sorry, what I was thinking is when I was going to do some trial runs, just go around the suburb, put one horse in at a time, and go a little trip and then get them off. And I predict then the next time I try to put them on after they've been on the trailer trip, then we're kind of back to square one again, aren't we?
A little
I
bit,
think,
yes. Yes, because
yeah,
the
yeah.
traveling, especially if he scrambled in the trailer, the traveling
Mm,
can become short trips can kind of work against you. Like if your real priority right now is fire evacuation. And
mm-hmm,
so I would work on getting them in and having them just that getting in the trailer, like my Arab. She saw
mm-hmm.
every trailer as a traveling smorgasbord. I had to tell her to wait and not get in yet. Like she would
Yeah,
just
yeah,
jump in an open trailer, right? Because there was always
yeah,
food in there.
yeah.
And right now with Shaw, if you take him on short trips, you are going to start over. What actually
Okay,
what actually helps them if they travel poorly is you want him in tight so he can lean on the trailer. So
okay,
the dividers should be, he should be in there snug, tied short, so
okay.
he
Yeah,
cannot bend his neck around. Like you have to tie him pretty short and make sure
yeah.
that he's in there tight. And the best thing to do is a really long trailer ride, R-
Okay.
really
Yeah.
long, like hours. And by the time they've traveled for hours, they've kind of figured out how to balance in the moving trailer. And
Mm,
especially if he's got his buddies with him and he's sort of in there where he can lean on the trailer, he may figure it out on a long trip. But right now,
mm.
since you're worried about fire evacuation, I would say work on the loading and
Okay.
just
Yeah.
cross your fingers for the trip because you got to go. And if it
Yeah.
is a fire evacuation, it'll probably be a long trip. And
Mm,
it's, yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
for right now, I don't think with any of the horses I would do short trips. I would just really get them
Okay.
comfortable getting in the
Yeah. No.
trailer and
Yeah.
closing. Like you do have to make sure they're comfortable all the way to being closed in, ready for travel. But
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't move the trailer just yet. You can save that for a non-emergency time of year.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Good
Yeah.
point. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. But I found like when I traveled cross country, it was like traveling in a trailer was just no big deal for my horses.
Mm,
And that's
mm,
I would get up in the morning, feed them breakfast. They eat their breakfast in the trailer as we get going, and they
mm-hmm.
all would just jump in the trailer like it was a stall.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Pablo, he's funny. He's actually He's not okay in there. I can tell that his anxiety rises, but he's so excited to get in there for the food. So he literally just about trots up on there. I have to calm him down a little bit,
Yeah.
but it's not in a calm fashion.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
at
And
least he gets
so
on.
so the more you can get, if you think of it as calm acceptance for being
Mm,
in the trailer, for being closed into the trailer. If you
mm,
gain their calm acceptance, and food usually helps because it just motivates, it gives them more reason to try, right?
Yeah, 'cause otherwise, why would they want to? Why would they want to go in that
Exactly.
box?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The only thing we really have to offer is a lot of extra treats and food, and something yummy is
Mhm.
inside that box. And
Mm,
so
okay.
and if they will eat whatever we put in there, it also shows us that they do feel safe. They won't eat if they don't feel safe. They just
Yeah.
they won't eat. And so
Hmm.
or they'll grab the food and run out. But it's like, the food really helps us know where is the fear and where is just a lack of motivation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I let Stitch play through again. I'm kind of watching him while we're chit-chatting, and I
Hmm.
love everything I see you doing with him. I think you're spot on.
No good.
And if he's one that, because of the metabolic issues and the laminitis,
Hmm.
if he's up for working on big circles on the long reins, I would really get him doing that as soon as you can and just do nothing but that.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
would actually help his body the fastest, is
Hmm.
if you can stand still in the middle and give him sort of maximum size circle on the long reins and just stay put. It basically like lunging with an outside rein, but just at the walk. And if he doesn't
Hmm.
halt a lot, if he can maintain a walk and do that, that's going to be
Hmm.
where you get the most change for the time you put in.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And because of the laminitis, getting him off the forehand, getting that hindquarter really stable and working sooner than
Hmm.
later would be helpful to his overall health issues.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Okay,
at
shall
least
do.
he's forward enough to do it. Like with Pablo, it's just so tricky because when they lose forward, it's a lot of negotiation. And
Yes.
if he's comfortable enough to walk circles on the long reins without stopping, then you are golden to getting
Hmm.
his body back in shape sooner than later.
Hmm. Good, good.
But yeah, well done, Tracy. Both of your boys are coming
Yeah.
along.
Yeah. Good, good, good. Thank you.
Yeah, and I may be putting my foot in my mouth, but from the looks of it, Stitch may come along faster than Pablo. I think now that you've
Yeah, might be
addressed,
so busy.
yeah, because
Yeah.
without his health issues, he just looks like he's all business. He's trying, he likes the work, he's connected to you,
Yeah.
and all the ingredients are there. That's why I'm thinking just go straight to the circles, see what he can do,
Hmm.
because he's on board with it. So
Mm.
you
Yep.
can really develop his coordination, I think, a lot faster with less roadblocks now compared
Yeah.
to Pablo.
Yep. Yep. Sounds good.
Okie dokes. Let me stop the video. Any final stuff?
No,
Any
no, that's all
questions?
good. Thank you. Yep. Lovely,
Well,
lovely.
excellent job with both of your horses and the old Arab.
Yes. He is lovely. He's a good boy. Yeah.
Let me stop the
Awesome.
recording.